Hello, everyone, and welcome along to One Team in Ayrshire. And as part of Kilmarnock's biggest week in 5 years, we're going to be giving you some extensive coverage here on the channel leading up to two of our biggest games of the season biggest games in a long, long time. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm Andy Gray. Joining me, Adam Lyon, of course, the owner of the channel. Adam, looking forward to this one tomorrow night. It's getting nervous now for Kilmarnock, isn't it? I mean, let's have a quick look then at the current situation. Just recap briefly over the games in the split so far and at what led us to this point. You know, we find ourselves 11th behind Ross County in 10th, and with Hamilton behind us in 12th with 2 games to go. Let's have a little recap then. What's your thoughts on it so far?
Yeah, it's been mixed results in the split, if we're going to be honest. Obviously, we started off with that game against Ross County at home, which we thought we were going to need to get the win. You know, that was set us up massively for the split fixtures, and we got the draw. We didn't really know how that was going to play out. We didn't know if that was a good point, if we dropped 2 points in that game. And then we had Dundee United at home, which, you know, we went and demolished them 3-0. They just weren't at it. Kyle Lafferty was completely on it that day, and, you know, everything was feeling a bit better. We were up to 10th. You know, it was sort of in our own hands in terms of staying up. We just needed to, you know, win all our games or better Ross County's results, and we would have stayed up. And then, obviously, the third game against Motherwell just went straight downhill again. You know, it was a performance from the Alex Dyer era, wasn't it? And now we're back into 11th, no longer in our own hands. And it just goes to show you, when you're in this position, everything can flip in the space of a week. And now, with 2 games to go, 3 points in it between the 3 teams, it's getting very, very nervy, I should say. Yeah,
well, I think when the split fixtures came out, I think the ideal situation for Kilmarnock fans, we know it was always going to be tight between ourselves, Hamilton and Ross County. I think when you looked at it, we had 3 home games. I know Hamilton, I think, only had 2, or Ross County had 2 and Hamilton had 3 as well. I'm not sure, but one of the teams had 2. And I thought Ross County at home straight away, Dundee United at home straight after. You know, that's an ideal opportunity to put some points on the board and maybe try and, you know, ensure that we don't go into this final day at least under threat of automatic relegation, and preferably from the playoff as well. We now know that isn't going to happen because of what happened against Motherwell last week. It was really poor, as you say. We lacked, you know, real fight. It was like an Alex Dyer performance, as you say. So it was really disappointing. But, you know, it is what it is. We are where we are now. And as Kirk Broadfoot said the other day in the press, you know, people's jobs are on the lines now. It's getting serious. I just wish the players had that feeling about themselves of urgency all season long, Adam, because I don't think they've been playing well enough. But, you know, we've got 2 games to go, and we need to save it. And we need to try and look forward to this game against Mirren tomorrow night, because, of course, that cup game showed us that it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, that interview with Kirk Broadfoot didn't go down particularly well with Killie fans at all. On social media, obviously said, you know, it's serious time. This will affect jobs at the club. It'll affect the club as a whole. But as you say, you just wish that the players had looked like they realised that a bit earlier. And even last week against Motherwell, it was just one of those performances where the players just didn't have any urgency. They didn't seem to realise that we're in a really bad position. And, you know, we got our just desserts for it, getting beaten 2-0 pretty comfortably. So now, as you say, we're going into it, and we know that we'll go into the final day at Hamilton still with the threat of at least being in the playoffs, if not automatic relegation.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, that was my worst fear. I did not want to go to Hamilton. We know they always stay up. We know they fight tooth and nail to the end of the season. They're in this battle every year. They know exactly what it's all about. So, you know, the last thing you want to do is go somewhere where we don't really have a particularly good record either. I don't remember. I think Steve Clark won there once when he was in charge. We really struggled to get results there, even at the best of times. So, you know, the last thing you want to do is go into that game with the threat of automatic relegation looming. And that's where we are now. You know, we can win both games and still finish 11th. So, you know, we need to ensure that we can go into that last game with a win against St Mirren, and hopefully Hamilton don't get a result against Ross County. But we'll talk about that a little bit more later. Adam, I just think, you know, back to what Broadfoot was talking about, I just think that the players think they're too good to go down. I actually think they think, oh, we're Kilmarnock. We finished third under Steve Clark a few years ago. We're not going to go down. But I think they need a wake-up call. And hopefully this is them getting it, because we've been poor all season long. And if we go down, we do deserve to go down. There's no doubt about that. So we'll see how it goes. And hopefully the players can lift their game, because that against Motherwell last week was unacceptable.
Yeah, I think the worrying thing for us as Kilmarnock fans was that we thought the arrival of Tommy Wright would, have that impact, would, light the fire under them, and Tommy Wright would be the man to sort them out and get them back in the straight and narrow and get them winning. But although we've picked up a few wins since Tommy Wright came in, I don't think it's been quite the drastic impact that a lot of Kilmarnock fans hoped. And although we're one position better off than when Tommy Wright came in, or we're in the same position, there hasn't really been that impact. And so that's what's worrying, because there's no guarantee that in these final two games, we're going to see a good performance, we're going to see a win. It could be two games exactly like we saw at Motherwell, and if that happens, then we're down.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's then move on to that next game, St Mirren at home. I mean, we watched the cup game. Well, we all watched the cup game a few weeks ago, and obviously we were left extremely frustrated. I mean, I think St Mirren were there for the taking that night. I think we played quite well in the second half in particular. We were behind, got ourselves level and in front, and then looked like, the most open the most expansive we've been in quite a while in that second half, and maybe could have added a third or fourth, but it just wasn't to be in the end. And our defensive frailties and the goalkeeper, well, I'm not even going to go there, let us down. But I mean, I think that's a warning sign for us. I think we need to be on our game defensively, because that's something that's affected us throughout the season, Adam. We spoke before we came on air. What are the do's and don'ts going into these final few games if we're going to be safe? We cannot defend like we've been defending all season long. We cannot keep making basic, silly mistakes. We need to be on our toes, concentrated, focused, and try and get the win and get a clean sheet and do the job. The last thing I want to see us is putting on a great performance and leading 1-0 or 2-0 and then throwing it away. How many times have we done that this season? So, we need to be on it from the get-go, and take the game to St Mirren. This is it now for Kilmarnock. There's no going back. We need to go for it now. We need results. That's it. There's a bit of fear about Kilmarnock as well this season. We've just kind of prodded the opponent and says, try to see what they're like. We'll go into the game and, get a feel for it. No, there's none of that tomorrow. In my opinion, we need to go out there, stamp our authority against a St Mirren team they've got nothing to play for, and try and get a result. A bit like we did against Dundee United towards the end of that first half. Get a lead, establish it, and hold it for the majority of the game. None of this, let's touchy-feely, see what they're like. Just get in there and go for it. We've got 2 games and we need results. Yeah,
I think you're absolutely right. And I'm sure that's what Tom and I will be saying to them in the dressing room. But where that translates out onto the pitch, we don't know. As you say, St Mirren have got nothing to play for. They don't really have anything to do in the league. They're out of the cup, obviously, as of the weekend. So they'll be coming here and thinking, we'll just maybe give our younger players a little run out or whatnot. But as you say, Kilmarnock just need to get the opposition out of their mind. Just go for it, because we need to have the mentality that 3 points is everything. And if we don't get 3 points, then what we need to think is that if we don't get 3 points, we're going to get relegated. That's exactly the mentality that we should have, because if we don't, and we don't have that intensity, don't have that urgency that we need, then we may not come away with 3 points, and then it all goes down to the final day, depending on what happens elsewhere.
And that's the other thing we need to discuss. St Mirren, how do they approach this game? I thought to myself, do I want them winning that semi-final or not? Because if they won the semi-final, they would probably be resting their players for the final. But at the same time, the players that weren't playing in the semi-final, that were in the final, would have been trying to get themselves into a starting position in the final. So, it's one of those ones, you don't really know how to approach it. Are they now, season's finished, let's think about our summer holiday, and that suits Kilmarnock, or does it not? I think it doesn't really matter either way whether they win that semi-final or not. What do you think, Adam?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we're going to see one side or the other of them. I think we've seen that in the last 2 opponents that have played in Dundee United and Motherwell, who both haven't really had much to play for. In Dundee United, we saw a team that weren't really that bothered, to be honest. They didn't really put in a whole load of effort, and we beat them comfortably 3-0. And then last weekend, obviously, we had Motherwell, who had nothing to play for either, but they looked like the only team that were ever going to win that
They
game.
look like the team that did have something to play for.
Yeah, so actually, a lot of our fortunes tomorrow night could be based on what's the Mirren team turning up.
Yeah, absolutely. But hopefully they can turn up with their best team, and Kilmarnock are up for it and ready and firing, because briefly, we need to speak about Kyle Lafferty. We missed him in that cup quarter final. He was back last week. He had a wee half chance. I think the keeper saved it, but never really got involved. But I don't think that was his fault. I just think there was no support around him. And the ball was never really fizzed into him, and he never really had the opportunity to show what he can do. So, hopefully he can be firing on all cylinders tomorrow and can get back into goal-scoring form, because we need him. Because without him, I think we'd already be down. I think it's fair to say that. I mean, we spoke about Tommy Wright briefly, maybe having the impact he was looking for. We're kind of still where we were in the league. But I've got to say, thank goodness he came in, and thank goodness he brought in Kyle Lafferty, because if we carried on that trajectory under Dyer, I think it would have been curtains already, Adam.
I think that is the real problem, though, our reliance on Kyle Lafferty, because if St Mirren can keep that one man quiet, then we've seen that we're not particularly good without him in the game. Although we did miss him in the cup game, we still scored 3 goals. Obviously, went on to lose that, but generally we've seen that when Kyle isn't fully on it and he's not able to get into the game, the whole rest of the team suffers as a result. So we're talking about one key man that is going to decide what happens in this final week, and that will be Kyle Lafferty.
And I think that a lot of the players in this Kilmarnock team need to take a look at Kyle Lafferty and see his attitude, because here's a player that hasn't played for us all season long, and he's got something to fight for, because he's looking for maybe to try and move on to better things at the end of this season, if he can. Maybe he's going to stay. We'll wait and see if we can stay up. But he's looking to impress, to get himself in the shop window. Surely these players realise that if they get relegated, a lot of them don't have contracts for next season. They're not going to get a contract. So Kirk Broadfoot talking about the staff and jobs. He's fighting for his own job. They all are, for a good wage as well. And when the stakes are highest, Kyle Lafferty rises to the occasion. You've seen that with Northern Ireland. You've seen that with Rangers at Rugby Park, of course, back in 2011. I don't want to get into that one. This guy rises to the challenge, and he's shown that in recent games for Kilmarnock. So I think the other players need to, take a look at him and go, that's the kind of attitude, the kind of desire we need to show to get the results, that fighting spirit, because that's a man that's intent and doing the best for this football club. And he's only been there since February. He's the player of the year, Adam.
Yeah, I think that just sort of sums up just how bad our season has been, is that the player that's been in there only 6, 7, 8 weeks has become the player of the season, is the one that's showing all the intensity, and is the one that we are looking to lead the team forward. And there's just questions to be asked as to why the ones that have been there fighting all season aren't the ones with the most intensity, aren't the ones that are leading the team. And so obviously that'll all be debriefed at the end of the season. I'm sure we'll talk about it a lot following Sunday's game, no matter what happens. But Kyle Lafferty is the man that's going to have to lead us out of this, and if he does, we will be forever indebted to him, and he can have a statue at Rugby Park if he wants.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like when Chris Boyd was scoring all those goals a few years ago, the year we avoided the playoff when we sent Hibs into it, and of course they were relegated by Hamilton. So that's a stark reminder of what Hamilton are like when it comes to a relegation battle. Of course, they were looking for promotion in that occasion. Chris Boyd again in the Falkirk season where we played them in the playoffs 5 years ago. But let's talk now then, Adam, about the possible scenarios going into that final game. Obviously, we are looking at it as if we need to win. But if we can win, what about Hamilton and Ross County? Do we want Ross County to win? And then that means if we win, bye-bye Hamilton. Do we want Hamilton to win? And then if we get a result, we're ahead of Ross County, but that means we can still get relegated as well as finish 10th, as well as finish 11th? Or do we want a draw? I think I'm in the camp of a draw. I'm interested to hear what you think, Adam, and what the fans at home going into this are hoping for from that game. Personally, it's got to be a draw.
Yeah, I mean, it's so difficult, isn't it? Because on one hand, you would love for us to win, Ross County to win, and then that threat of automatic relegation is gone and off the table, and we'll either rise up to 10th in the last game or we'll take our chances with the playoff, but at least we're not going down straight away. Yeah. But as you say, a draw, would keep Ross County in check, and we've still got a chance of finishing 10th. but we also still have a chance of going down, automatically. So, a draw would probably be favourable, but, we've got no control over that game. We just have to make sure that we win tomorrow night, and then whatever happens up in Dingwall happens, and then we'll have to deal with the repercussions and then see what happens on Sunday.
Because even if there is a draw up in Dingwall, if we win, we're safe. So, that's another thing we need to look at. Even if we draw with St Mirren and Hamilton draw with Ross County, it's still not really enough. I mean, if we draw with St Mirren and Ross County win, we'll be safe as well that way because our goal difference is that much superior to Hamilton. So the way it's all working out, it's going to be really interesting. There's even a scenario where if Kilmarnock draw with St Mirren and Hamilton beat Ross County, all three teams go into the final day on 33 points. And I don't think
that's not even worth thinking about. Yeah.
Oh, no. I'm laughing now, but I won't be laughing come tomorrow night if that's how the table's looking going into that final day, because that is a nerve shredder, a nail biter. And I've got no nails as it is. So there you go. But it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. But I think we need to just ensure that we do our job, get the 3 points tomorrow, and let what happens in Dingwall take care of itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, well, I think that wraps it up then for the first instalment of the week, for our biggest week in 5 years. I'm sure we'll be back again talking in the build-up to the match against Hamilton on the final day of the season. Hopefully, myself and Adam will be joining you off the back of a result that gets us 3 points and hopefully one that sees us safe from automatic relegation going into that game against Hamilton. That's all from us. See you later, guys.